Hey, Jerry.
Sorry.
Okay.
Jerry, give us 2 rolling rock and give me a kiss on it.
Okay. It's a wedding, you know. It's supposed to, like, go fun.
You really like Nick a lot, huh?
Yeah.
A scene from The Deer Hunter with a nervous Robert De Niro encountering actress Meryl Streep at a wedding party before he goes off to fight the Vietnam War. Both actors received Academy Award nominations for their performances. The Deer Hunter received a total of 9 nominations. It's clearly one of the most talked about films of the year, one of 4 new movies we'll be reviewing on Sneak Previews, 2 film critics sharing their opinions on the latest films in town. And across the aisle from me is Roger Ebert, the Pulitzer Prize-winning film critic of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And this is Gene Siskel, film critic of the Chicago Tribune and CBS TV News in Chicago. In addition to The Deer Hunters, we're going to take a look at Fast Break, a comedy starring Gabe Kaplan, who's the star of TV's Welcome Back, Kotter. We'll look at Once in Paris, about an American screenwriter's French love affair. And now Gene starts with China Syndrome, the new movie starring Jane Fonda.
We usually expect films with a social or political message from Jane Fonda, and there is a message, I suppose, in her new film, China Syndrome, but I like it best as a simple, old-fashioned thriller. It's excellent. China Syndrome is about the cover-up of an accident that's weakened the safety devices of a nuclear power plant. Jane Fonda plays a TV reporter who exposes the cover-up, and late in the movie, Fonda interviews Jack Lemmon, a plant engineer who wants to tell about the accident before a live television audience. But will he be able to tell his story before the company thugs stop him?
First floor. Absolutely fast.
They're here.
David, want a 2-shot, holding him right there at the console, all right?
Got it.
Ron, we gotta take sound out of this speaker right here. Thanks.
Okay, we made it. Churchill's down in the van. Kimberly, the press is everywhere. So let's just work out the sound thing. We're ready to go. All right?
Okay.
Kimberly, you move a little closer to the speaker.
Testing. This is Kimberly Wells.
This is exciting stuff, and Jane Fonda is thoroughly compelling when still later in the film she moves in for the kill in a harried interview with another engineer who she wants to have confirm Jack Lemmon's belief that the plant could explode like a nuclear bomb. The company has tried to paint Lemmon as a flaky alcoholic.
Kimberly
Mr.
Wells,
DeYoung.
you were
Mr. DeYoung,
inside.
a few minutes ago.
Kim,
No, please,
tell
let
us
me
what
ask a
happened
question.
inside. What did you
Mr.
do?
DeYoung,
Cam, we're losing the picture.
No, please, let me ask a question.
Terry, just come around.
Now, just a minute, Miss Wells. The man was emotionally disturbed, and I'm telling you...
Who ordered the SWAT squad into the control room?
I told you, he was out of control, he was dangerous, and they had no choice in the matter.
Spindler, do you agree with that? Was Jack O'Dell emotionally disturbed? Was he a disturbed man? Did he have reason tonight to be disturbed?
I don't know.
Mr. Gibson said he was drinking. Is it true?
I don't know.
Don't know? How do you account for his behavior tonight? What did he say to you, Mr. Spindler?
Thank you, Mr. Spindler. Mr.
What did he say to you,
That's
Mr.
all
Spindler?
now.
A little melodramatic? I don't think so. China Syndrome is a believable doomsday thriller like Failsafe or 7 Days in May. Jane Fonda is very good here. This is one time her well-known political attitudes really help her performance. She believes in what she's doing, being a crusading reporter, and so do we. As for the film's message that nuclear power plants are just too dangerous, well, frankly, the film affected me on that level, too.
Affected me, too. In fact, it scared me so much I don't want to live next to a nuclear power plant. But the movie is not so political that you feel you're looking at some kind of a documentary or some kind of a political speech. It really is a thriller, as you pointed out. I was on the edge of my chair, too. I mean, I think maybe we should go a little bit further and say that even though it is fairly early in 1970, I think this is one of the best made, best acted, most thrilling films probably that we'll see this year.
I mean, it's fun. You know, we see a couple hundred movies a year for 10 years apiece. This one actually got me scared. I didn't know how it was going to turn out. I didn't think a movie could do that to me anymore, but this one did. And I think it's also because of Fonda. She's the core of realism in the picture. She's so into this role as a TV reporter, we just accept everything around her. She's really a remarkable actress.
Thinking back on the 2 or 3 movies I've seen Jane Fonda in the last year or so, it's interesting how three-dimensional she is. She's not the person you see on television. She comes up with a new character every time, which is unfortunately more than you can say about another actor who's made a new film, Gabe Kaplan. He's well known to television viewers as Mr. Cotter, the fast-talking, long-suffering high school teacher of Welcome Back, Kotter. And Kotter fans, unfortunately, will have no trouble recognizing him in his new movie, Fast Break, where he plays, once again, a fast-talking, long-suffering college basketball coach. It's all just a little bit too familiar. Here's Kaplan being offered the coaching job by the president of the college. It's not exactly what you'd call an irresistible offer.
I'll give you $50 for every game you win.
$50?
Cash.
A game?
When you win.
How many games are you going to play this year?
Well, we hope to have 30, maybe
Well,
30.
wait, Mr. Duckets. You're saying if I win every game, I'm going to make $2,000. $50 a game. Come on.
All right. Make it 60.
60.
Look, I know it's a long shot, but I'll give you room and board, $60 for every game you win, and I'll give you a regular contract if you beat Nevada State.
Nevada State? Come on, it's one top 10 teams in the country. What are you talking about?
Well, that's what makes it a long shot. I told you it was a long shot. But the day you beat Nevada State, I'll give you a 3-year contract at $30,000 a year with fringes.
You know, I think you're as crazy as I am. But I like your style. This is guaranteed $30,000 a year for 3 years?
I promise.
I just got to beat Nevada State?
Yeah.
Where do I get my players?
Anywhere you can.
What about scholarships?
Well, we'll give them room and board and a first-class education for any kid who wants to play with us.
Some of the best players I know have a little problem with academics.
Not at Cadwallader.
He recruits his team from the ghetto playgrounds of New York, and here they are at halftime in the big Nevada State game.
Stop shooting so much. Feed Preacher. Preacher's
hot. I'm open out there, Coach. I mean, set some picks or
Shut
something.
up! Let me coach the team, all right, Preacher? Set some picks for him. He's hot. He's right. And why aren't you shooting, Swish? You got the ball. You got shots. Take them. Don't be Mr. Nice Guy passing all the time. Take those shots when you got them. And Sam, you got 3 fouls on you ready. Watch that. I don't want you to foul out. And open up that offense. Open up the middle. Let Hustler get the ball. Feed him. You're not feeding him enough. And when you miss a shot, pound that offensive board. Pound it. Offensive board, Hustler. Important.
Man, you putting us down. You know that?
Sorry. This game happens to be very important to me. It's important to everybody in this room. So let's do it, all right? All right, get a drink of water, go to the bathroom.
Kind of a nice little note there. It's kind of a good performance. Gabe Kaplan's got sincerity, he's got good timing, he's got an engaging personality. He could have tried something more original for his movie debut instead of just playing Mr. Cotter again. The movie does have some good moments, I suppose. It ends with a fairly exciting basketball game, although it's almost obligatory in a sports movie to have a game like that. But Fast Break is just so completely predictable that you don't have to be afraid to go out and buy popcorn. You're not going to miss anything.
It is like an expanded TV show. We meet 4 of his players that he recruits from Harlem. Each guy gets about 10, 15 minutes to tell his story. They could be individual episodes in a situation comedy on television. You know, they're charging $3.50 to see this movie. I think we really want to see something different than we can get on the tube. We don't get it with this
There's
picture.
another problem, too, with the characters, and that's that you get a moment of great poignant insights or revelation of secrets, and then 5 minutes later you have slapstick comedy. The movie doesn't have a line from beginning to end in terms of knowing what it wants to say about the people.
Well, now to a better film. One of my biggest complaints about movies in general is we rarely are given characters that seem as real or as bright or as entertaining as even Roger. But good news, Once in Paris is an American-made film that gives us 3 bright, lively, and real characters. Wayne Rogers plays an American writer brought to Paris to work on a screenplay. He meets a beautiful woman, Gail Honeycutt there, who's staying at the same hotel. He's married, she isn't, but it's Paris, so naturally they end up in bed together.
Do you want to smoke?
Yes, I do.
Concerned for my welfare?
No, for mine.
Oh, I think we're going to have a very honest relationship, Michael.
It's just what I always wanted.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaving a week from Wednesday.
Why is she telling me this?
I've got a few friends to see, some dresses to buy for a store I have an interest in. Other than that, I'm yours.
I have a screenplay to write. It's a snap. A couple hours every morning.
I could show you Paris.
I like that. Suppose I get tired of you before Wednesday.
Hmm? Just say so. I promise I'll do the same.
Well, in the interest of our honest relationship, I got a little confession to make. You know, a moment ago over there when I said I felt great? Well, I lied. I feel terrific.
But you say that to all the girls.
Haven't been that many.
Who asked you?
Well, I just thought you ought to know it's not a usual event in my life.
Oh, I see. Now I'm supposed to say this is a very rare experience for me, too, and the violins commence.
Okay. Forget I mentioned it.
You're angry.
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
I'm not.
You are.
Well, nobody likes to think of himself as one of a numberless legion.
Why didn't you say so? Let's see, you're number 142 and a half. Well, if you count the Austrian prince.
Sounds interesting.
He was. Would you like the details?
Later.
Now, that conversation, though obviously written by somebody, seemed fairly natural to me, and I'm the guy on the show who's always complaining about phony-sounding movie dialogue. I mentioned there were 3 bright characters in Once in Paris. The third, played by Jack Lenoir, is a charming, worldly-wise chauffeur hired to drive Wayne Rogers around town. To reward him for good service, Rogers and Gail Honeycutt invite him to join them at a snobby private party. They tell the hostess that the chauffeur is a sea captain, but one of the guests spots him as a lowly landlubber.
How goes it, Captain?
Trouble.
Yeah? What's the matter?
With the man I was just talking to.
What about him?
I drove him a few days, a couple of years ago.
Uh-huh. He recognized you?
No, but he feels sure we've met.
He's looking this way.
Listen, I think we better go.
And leave such a wonderful party?
Well, if he remembers you, it could be very embarrassing.
The hell with him.
I think Michael's right, Jean-Paul. I think we better go.
But I don't want to go. I like it here now.
You having fun?
Bien sûr.
Huh? What do you say? Okay? Okay.
We stay.
We stay.
There appears to be no end to your captain's talents.
It's not my Captain Eve.
I wasn't suggesting.
Oh, yes, you were.
You know you dance wonderfully. Were you ever a professional?
Come on, Jean-Paul, knock it off. It's me, Susan.
Captain, please. And smile, or you spoil my image.
I've got it. I know you.
Pardon me.
I know you. You drove for me.
Get out of my way.
You drove for me. He's a chauffeur.
Hey, who is this man anyway?
This gentleman is a ship's captain.
Ship's captains have papers. Let me see yours.
Hey, just what do you think you're doing here?
I say this man is not what he claims. The papers, monsieur.
How do all the relationships work out? Well, they take some surprising turns, full of bitterness and melancholy. Everyone is a little bit wiser at the end of the film. Paris, again, has worked its magic. I'm a sucker for films shot in Paris, I guess, so as a travelogue and as a 3-part character study, I enjoyed Once in Paris.
I guess I enjoyed it as a travelogue, especially during the first 20 or 30 endless minutes when I was trying to get going and we saw the Eiffel Tower and
I love seeing that stuff.
Champs-Élysées and so forth before the characters appeared. And then when they did appear, you talk about realistic dialogue, my blood would curdle if I had to engage in dialogue like that. I never believed the relationship between these two people. The only person in the movie I did like, did appreciate was the chauffeur, Jack Lenoir. I thought that he was a very good character, well acted.
He's very good because every time he comes into the movie, you don't expect the chauffeur to have a big role in the film, and he really takes over the film. And I thought the 2 characters in their late 40s, we don't see movies about people in their late 40s. I thought the relationship was pretty decent.
Well, I thought it came alive when he was there. The rest of the time, I think his own vitality, the chauffeur's vitality, made the others look pretty pale, pretty lackluster, pretty much totally unlike the people in the next film. We're going to talk now about The Deer Hunter, one of the most important American movies of recent years, and also one of the most emotionally overpowering. It's about the war in Vietnam, but it isn't really for the war and it's not against the war. It's more about how the war entered into the lives of a lot of Americans and changed some of them forever. It begins early one morning when a crowd of good friends finish up with an all-night shift at the steel mill, go to have a few beers at the saloon down the street, and this is going to be a big day for them. It's their last day at work, they've enlisted in the Army, and one of them is going to get married in a few hours. You can tell which one the groom is when his mother comes in and hauls him off the bar stool. I spent Saturday night like that myself. That sort of camaraderie, that singing along and hanging out and sticking together, is developed in a long and brilliant wedding scene. We saw a fragment of it at the beginning of the show, and there's a real sense of celebration there, a real community. But then The Deer Hunter cuts abruptly to the reality of Vietnam and to a prisoner of war camp where the Viet Cong is forcing American and South Vietnamese prisoners to play Russian roulette while they gamble on who will be the first to blow his brains out. For Robert De Niro and his friends, the time for singing is over.
Stevie, come down.
That's Christopher Walken, and the other one of the three friends is played by John Savage. The physical pain and mental dread is so real there that it gives you an idea of the impact this movie has. It's not just a war story, it's not just a movie, it's an experience. It's one that touches people in the audience so deeply that some of them can't take it. They've got to turn their eyes away from the screen, and I couldn't really blame them. The Deer Hunter isn't a perfect film. It raises some questions it doesn't answer. It's got some loose ends, but logic and perfection aren't what you look for in a movie that basically exists on the level of emotion and raw human feeling. And it's been a long time, Gene, since a movie has affected me so deeply.
It got to me too. Very powerful. I think what I admire most about this picture is its sheer size. This is a really big film on the level of The Godfather. Big films in America normally mean exploding buildings. This is a film of very powerful ideas, strong personalities. The first hour of this 3-hour movie is all about this steel town and the people who inhabit it. It's really a loving portrait of working class people. If the film had ended there, it would have been a great movie.
You're right.
Then, then we get to Vietnam, and in about 30 minutes, this director, Michael Cimino, compresses the Vietnam combat experience. You just showed a clip on that prisoner of war sequence. Well, now we have another clip, because after escaping from that prisoner of war camp, Christopher Walken, in a memorable scene, sums up what a lot of combat veterans must feel. At a hospital in Vietnam, Walken is totally in shock. He won an Academy Award nomination for his performance, and this is the scene that probably did it.
Are you Nikonar Chebotorevich? Can you understand me, Nikonar? Are you Chebotorevich? Are you sure? Uh-huh. Chebotorevich, is that a Russian name?
No. It's American.
All right, let me see your name tag. This yours?
Yes.
What are your parents' names?
Lou. My mother's name is, Eva.
Huh? And what are your parents' dates of birth?
That's powerful stuff, and it's impressive. Christopher Walken there, it's impressive seeing him develop some real feeling by not talking. He's just one of the fresh faces in the film. I was really impressed by the picture. It's like seeing a big novel or reading a big novel. Very impressive.
Kind of like The Godfather, which also had De Niro in it, I guess, in The Godfather Part 2. A real gallery of characters, a lot of depth. You know, a lot of people have asked me, okay, wonderful, the film got 9 Academy Award nominations, Best Film, Best Director, Best Actor. How come it isn't playing in my town? Because in most of the United States, it's only now opening, and that was the result of a decision by Universal, the studio that made it. They didn't know if America was ready yet for a big, heavy 3-hour drama about the Vietnam experience, and so they opened the picture in Los Angeles and New York to get the Oscar nominations. Now they've got the nominations, now the picture is opening throughout the country, and I think we're in agreement on this, that it is the picture to see right now.
Well, it's time now to move from one of the year's best movies to the week's worst movies introduced by Spot. Dog of the Week.
Spot the Wonder Dog. We have some great movies for you this week. Mine is a tribute of sorts to the late Bruce Lee, the kung fu star who died suddenly at the height of his fame. And the movie's called Kung Fu Master. It's being advertised as being shot in Bruce Lee style, but then what kung fu movie isn't advertised as being shot in Bruce Lee style? Bruce Lee has become in death a brand name like Walt Disney or General Motors or Betty Crocker. And so we get movies Bruce Lee style starring Bruce Lee's double and Bruce Lee's cousin and Bruce Lee's nephew and Bruce Lee's ghost. And not long ago, there was even a movie starring somebody named Bronson Lee, who was supposed to be half Charles Bronson and half, you guessed it, Gene, where will it all end?
Not with my film. I think we ought to call this segment Pekingese of the Week, because my dog is also a Bruce Lee ripoff called Last Fist of Fury, starring Bruce Lee, that's Lee spelled L-I. Now, why should we spend all this time, week after week, knocking inferior kung fu films? Because the people who go to see these movies are truly among the most loyal of filmgoers, and they are getting mightily ripped off. In Last Fist of Fury, Bruce L.I. tries to recover a magical pearl before an evil wizard and some American thugs get it. The thugs include a black man whose first line of dialogue goes like this, "And I knows they keep that snake pearl hidden there." Well, you should have heard the black members of the audience howl at that line. This is truly an insulting film.
Sounds like a dog for the ages.
Yes.
So much for the celluloid canines. To recap our reviews of the main movies on this show, both Gene and I enjoyed the nuclear power plant thriller, The China Syndrome, rated R. There's a yes next to both of our names because we both recommend you see it. We take a dimmer view, though, of Fast Break, the Gabe Kaplan basketball comedy. Seemed like too much like a TV series, so we both say no to Fast Break. We do agree, though, that The Deer Hunter is one of the finest films of the year. 2 strong yeses for that one. Don't miss it. Our only disagreement is about the modern love story, Once in Paris. Gene thoroughly enjoyed the film's 3 major characters. He says yes. I would just as soon they'd never have met. I say no. Once was more than enough.
You've made your point. Every year, Roger and I go out on a limb where we try to pick the winners of the annual Academy Awards. Well, it's that time of year again, so next on Sneak Previews, we'll take a look at the movies and stars nominated for this year's Oscars with exclusive scenes from Heaven Can Wait, An Unmarried Woman, Midnight Express, The Deer Hunter, and Coming Home. Roger and I will try to predict who will win the Oscars announced April 9th. Some of the races look pretty close, and if you think we're going to disagree, you're right. So join us next time for a sneak preview of the Academy Awards. Until then, see you at the movies.
Funding for this program is provided by this station and by other public television stations.